And I also feel that sometimes, uh, there isn't really, you can't really hear the other part of Michael Jordan's story in the NBA. For example, when the GOAT debate comes up and people actually dissect his career, and then you see stuff mentioned that if you didn't do your diligence, if you didn't deep dive, you didn't really hear about it. Like you said, his brand is very protected, and for a good reason. But
Sure.
do you think that his career is kind of over glorified in a way?
Michael Jordan entered the league at a point that was perfect. If you looked at 1979, Magic Johnson and as well as Larry Bird saved the league from going bankrupt and almost crashing, and then David Stern came in and did his numbers. And so I feel like, in answer to your question, I think Michael carried the torch from where it was to where it's going and where it still is. So was it over glorified? I think you've never seen anything quite like it. You've seen glimpses of it for sure. In my estimation, if Kobe Bryant watched Michael and carried the torch from, because I think Kobe is the closest thing to Michael we've seen. I think, in my opinion, that Michael Jordan carried the torch from Dr. J, and Dr. J had the benefit and sometimes I think the disadvantage of not having full years. Like, he was an ABA and an NBA legend, but at the same time, I wonder what life would be like if he spent his whole career in the NBA and how he'd be viewed. I also think that when you look at someone like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's won on every level, but I think centers don't get the same love that guards do. Yeah. The only two centers that move like short, skinny guards is Shaq and Dwight Howard. And Shaq sold shoes in a way Dwight Howard did not. And that's no disrespect to him. Shaq was just different and was a marketing and brand genius. So guards just get those looks like in football where quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers get the love in ways linemen don't. So I think that for Michael Jordan, was he over glorified? I wouldn't disrespect that man like that, because I also feel like when you watch The Last Dance, you kind of learned how his whole marketing strategy and branding went into place. Mm-hmm. The part in Last Dance where they talked about how they studied tennis players and how they modeled his aura and his persona after more tennis players than just a basketball player. That was never seen before. And I've often compared that to politics. When you look at Barack Obama, yeah, you saw JFK, and JFK to me is comparable in this instance, in this specific instance, to Dr. J. And if Obama took a page out of JFK's book, Obama was more like Michael Jordan, right? Because you had never seen the social media impact. You had never seen all the young people going out to vote. JFK had the look. He had the young people. I remember in history class, they were talking about the difference between his debate on television versus how people heard it on the radio. And the older people heard his opponent and thought he won. But when they saw JFK on TV, they thought he won. And I compare that to Obama and JFK because I feel like Obama took a page out of JFK's book, but I think he also had young people, white people, black people, aliens, everybody going out to vote. And I think that there is a comparison there. To keep it strictly back to basketball, I think that Steph Curry and LeBron have watched Michael, and they have definitely created their own style and their own impact. But I also think that had it not been Michael, some of these sneaker contracts that guys have gotten would not have existed. And some of the airtime, like social media, that comes with it now. But there's a lot of guys that owe a lot of credit to Michael because the money was not the money that it was prior to Michael, in my opinion.